we're here with Mark Munro, who is now the outgoing CEO of Scottish Athletics, moving on after 10 years to take up a post with UK Athletics. Mark, Jog Scotland is an integral part of Scottish Athletics. I think it's fair to say that the last year has been unlike any of the other 10 years that you've been at Scottish Athletics, but I think in a lot of ways, what we've seen from Jog Scotland over the past year exemplifies a lot of what was already there. What are some of those qualities that you see in the Jog Scotland community that you think have fared well for them over the past year?
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to say thank you to the Jog Scotland community, and particularly all our jog leaders across all the jogging groups in the country, and there's hundreds of you, or thousands of you, and I think this has been a terrible time for everyone. It's not just a kind of sport problem or a Jog Scotland or athletics problem. It's a global pandemic we're in. But again, we all keep a close eye on the activities of our jogging groups, and when you see the kind of connectivity, within groups, how they're communicating with their members during that period, some of the innovation that's occurred during that period has been phenomenal. How they communicate with members or keep them active, and then the actual Jog Scotland community as well, the jog leaders. Are very well connected in this kind of sense of togetherness, and I think it absolutely embodies the kind of spirit of what Jog Scotland's about. It's about being together, helping people, and whether that's through the kind of physical challenges or whether it's mental or social, and it's about being together and just helping. And I think that the Jog Scotland community has certainly proven that over the last number of years, but certainly in the last 10 months during the pandemic. That connectivity has been fantastic.
And I think also this isn't the first time that Jog Scotland has faced challenges and has been, well, we certainly as an organisation have been really appreciative of all of our members.
Yeah, so I mean, particularly if I look back to 2016-17, and when the Scottish Government removed the funding for Jog Scotland, I think it was just £100,000 at that point, and Jog Scotland or Scottish Athletics had been receiving £100,000 a year since I think 2002 to support Jog Scotland and the value that Jog Scotland placed within communities across the country. And when that was removed, and it was removed somewhat naively, in our opinion, obviously. I guess the Scottish Government challenged us around information data gathering, and we've subsequently addressed that and shown how strong and how important Jog Scotland is, and how important jogging groups are and jog leaders to communities across the country. But the overwhelming reaction from the members was nothing short of phenomenal, and whether it was pressure that was placed on Scottish Government, or whether it was the kind of fundraising in terms of how we support Jog Scotland going forward to where we are now, whether that was the kind of links and we've managed to make with Sam H during that period, and other partners to really support us. I think for me though, I'll never forget how much the community within Jog Scotland pulled together, through social media, through other forms of media, whether it's be email support, through forums. Yeah, incredible, and will always be grateful for that support back then.
And you touched on the Sam H partnership there. Is that one of the? There's been a lot of ways, not just dwelling on some of the challenges that we face, but a lot of ways that Jog Scotland has developed and evolved over the years. Do you want to tell us some of the highlights for you that you've seen?
Definitely. I think when you see Jog Scotland, it certainly has evolved over the time I've been involved in Scottish Athletics in the last decade, and in particular, the Sam H partnership is arguably one of the biggest success stories, and I believe I think Joe Stevens tweeted out recently that that's 1,000 jog leaders have been trained in mental health awareness training and education. And I think that project with Sam H about, and again, it can only be successful because of the togetherness and how united members within Jog Scotland are, and that appreciation for we're in it together to support each other. And whether it's looking at physical health, and there's lots of phenomenal stories around people have got healthy, the mental health, or even the kind of social elements of bringing people in around it, or a combination of all three. When you look at the narrative around that and the stories every year that we present, it warms your heart, and sometimes it breaks your heart at the same time. But for me, the Sam H partnership, and we've had a discussion with them this week about the continued partnership over a longer term and where we're going to move that partnership. We see Sam H as very much an equal partner within Jog Scotland, and they've been a huge support to us. But the Jog Scotland community has embraced the projects around SAMH. They've worked with the development team, and really, you know, you just have to listen to the stories, and you know, whether it's through social media or listening to people. Yeah, it's incredible. And I guess the other one, Sue, just on from that, I think when I look back, when I first started at Scottish Athletics in 2011 as head of development, it was almost separate entities. You know, Jog Scotland was here, athletics in terms of track and field and athletics clubs were over here, and you know, neither did the two meet very often. It was very unique for that partnership to be going. And now when I look at where we've got to, I think the club community really respect Jog Scotland and Jog Scotland groups in terms of what they're trying to achieve. And we're now seeing lots and lots of Jog Scotland groups attached to traditional running clubs or athletics clubs, and you can see that partnership growing from strength to strength. And the opposite, or the other side of that, is you're seeing a number of really strong Jog Scotland groups progressing and growing to the point where they've affiliated as running clubs or jogging clubs within Scottish Athletics as formal clubs. So I think the sport, in terms of where Jog Scotland sits and where club activity sits, is far more connected, and certainly the staff treat it as all part of the same programme and pathway, and value each exactly the same, because whether you're a jogger, as I am these days, or whether you're, you know, Laura Muir or Jake Whiteman, it doesn't matter. We're all part of the same sport and we're all in it together. And I think that we're starting to see that come together over the last few years, especially.
And I think one of the other highlights of recent years has been the Community Strides project, which we've had specific funding for, and Andrea Gavin and Laura Kirkland have done a fantastic job in taking that Jog Scotland model and actively reaching out to new communities. Do you think we've got that balance right in terms of proactively reaching new communities, but keeping that bedrock going?
Yes, I think first of all, Andrea and Laura have been great, and the groups they've been working with have really responded well to the support. And for me, it's about how do we make our groups, our clubs, more representative of the communities in which they live. And you know, certainly with changing lives and the outreach work and targeting more diverse communities and difficult to reach communities for whatever that reason, we've shown that with the right support, with a lot of effort, and with the right expertise, we can make those connections, and we can join them together. And again, it's all about feeling and being part of the same program, Jog Scotland, athletics, running, whatever that is. And I think we've all got a role to play going forward to make sure that whatever we do, that we are as representative of the Scottish community, no matter where we live, as much as we can be. But we're proactive in making sure we do that, and we can take the learning from the likes of Changing Lives and other projects, Community Strides, where, you know, it has been really eye-opening for us in terms of, you know, what do we need to do to support some groups within, or individuals within communities in Scotland, and how do we interact? How do we make those connections in the first place? So there's a lot been learned, particularly in the last 2 years, a lot more work to do. And I think for the whole sport and for sport in general, we need to make sure we are connecting the sport to and giving people the opportunities across the Scottish population.
Great. Well, thanks, Mark. I'm sure everyone within Jog Scotland wishes you well with your move.
Yeah, and thank you again, and thanks again to everyone from the Jog Scotland community. You do phenomenal work every day of the week, all year round. So thank you from everyone on behalf of Scottish Athletics.